Hello once again, people, and welcome to parts 25 and 26 of Build the Terminator. I just had a thought when I turned my microphone on. How do I know when it's run out of batteries? Is it going to go beep at me? I highly doubt that. So what that basically means is I could be recording about an hour's worth of video, then come to watch it back, ready to edit, and it will be completely silent. So with that comforting thought, it's time to start 25. A quarter of a century to 100. And even past then, another 25 after that, I think. We are working on the right shoulder. I notice that here it's labelled R. So that being on the inside, I hope there's going to be some way for me to make sure that I don't end up putting it on the left shoulder. Because, yes, that's very helpful having it in there, but not when you're then going to seal it in and you're never going to see it again. Hopefully there will be some way, or it will already be attached, so that you won't get confused. I hope they've thought of things like that when building something that's going to have two of each thing, and those two things are going to be quite symmetrical very often. That being said, let's see what I need to do first. Consistency as ever. All these are plastic, obviously, because they're inside the little plastic holder there. This part on its own, that's metal. I don't really understand their logic in deciding what's going to be metal and plastic. As I have previously discussed, the first thing I need to do is separate those two pieces, glue along the spine, as they call it, of that piece, and stick it into that piece to form, I'm not entirely sure what. Once again, I think the instructions can be taken with a pinch of salt, because it says apply a little super glue, just a little bit of super glue on the spine of this thing, which you're never ever going to see again. So how are you going to know that I've splattered a load of super glue straight out the bottle onto that? Exactly. So that bit's done. Okay, next they want you to cut the remaining pieces off and arrange them in a sort of suspects lineup at the police station of various suspicious plastic parts that you're going to somehow attach to the round bit. That actually looks quite cool, I must admit. I don't know what the hell it's for, but I think it's going to look good. Tell me something. Are there people out there horrified right now that I'm doing this? Twists off with my bare hands. Look at that. I don't need any specialist cutting equipment that's going to cost me money. No, I'm hardcore. And you know what? So far, it's made absolutely no difference whatsoever to how good these pieces look when I just twist them off. Okay, I've arranged the suspects as shown. A, B, C, D, E. There's your alphabet lesson for today. That's what I'll be referring to when I stick them in the metal wheel that I made last time. Okay, I've had to re-record this section because I was actually showing you putting it in, I think, there, which is wrong. It goes in there. So it slots in really nicely, I have to say, once you get it in the right one. So I think it's less of a mystery now where I'm going to choose to put the glue. I hope this actually comes out again. It says it's a good idea to test fit before you glue, and yeah, that's true, but it's also a good idea to have them come out again easily so that I can glue them. And there we go. Alright, let's go for this. Okay, it's in there. I've glued it, but got some glue on my thumb again, and I've got a fingerprint there, nasty fingerprint. I had to wipe it, but now it's taken the shine away from the plastic, which is a bit of a shame, but then most of this will actually be underneath another disc that goes on top. This thing, which is metal, so hopefully you won't see most of the mirrored effect that I've lost which kind of makes you wonder why they spray it so nicely in the first place when you're not going to see it again. But that's just another mystery. Next is B, and that's going there to the right of the first part, like so. There's a little cracked little bit there. I don't think that's where, oh no, it is where I attached it to the thing, but I don't believe I would have got any different a result if I'd have cut it off nicely with the proper tool. And also, you're not going to see it again anyway, because it's going to be underneath the disc. So I'm still winning. So that's going to go like that. There you go. That's looking nice. I couldn't tell which way up it was there. There you go. That's looking nice. And next, I should have said that's part A, that's part B, this is part C. And I'm very happy to say, very relieved to say, they've designed it nicely so that you cannot put it in the wrong way, because one of these is longer, a bit longer than the other one. So that's going down there. Alright, and D is going down the bottom. And once again, it's very cool. You cannot fit it in the other way. So obviously you can see it in the picture, it's facing this way, but you can't make a mistake. And finally, suspect E is going in the left hand side. And from what I can tell, this is all symmetrical, so it goes in anyway, but I don't think that's going to matter, because I think this is going to be one of the connectors, I think, for one of the pipes, one of the metal piping details, or wiring. I think one of the thicker springs. That's a guess at the moment. We'll soon see if I'm right. Obviously something is going to be attaching onto there, so it doesn't really matter, by my reckoning, which way round it goes. There we go. They're all in. I don't know what I've made yet, but I think it looks quite cool. And then you have to make sure that this is straight, and as you can see it's come out, so I have to move it around upright. Why does my voice always expire when I'm making these lately? Okay, it's not a good sign when you're trying to do a voiceover. Anyway, that's in there now, nice and straight as it should be. Okay, next I need to put this screw into the middle, down inside, right inside the rim, and then I need to place this piece over the top. And I'm pleased to say again, mercifully, they've thought it through, and this little circle bit at the edge, semicircle, fits over E at the side there, so you cannot go wrong. But what I don't understand is, do I have to compress it so that it squeezes it shut? Because that could be quite taxing. I'm going to have to give it a go, because it does say that you are screwing that into place. You're screwing this down. So it's tense. I'm going to tell you that much. It's so tense it's like a coiled spring. What a great analogy, eh? Okay, that's all screwed down, desperate to get out again, but I don't think that's going to happen. I should point out that it's very clearly labelled to screw there, and not in the middle, or those ones. So that's in there. Don't know quite what I've made, and I don't know quite why it's so tensely sprung, or sprung at all. I guess I'll also find that out later. Okay, next I have to get this bit off the housing. Alright, and this bit is actually going around the edge of the middle circle on the back. It says to glue around the pins, but I might put a bit of extra glue around the holes there. I can't imagine you're going to be needing to access those holes anywhere inside, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue around the edges of those, tiny bit, and hopefully that will stay in there nicely. Maybe even a tiny bit of glue on the end of those, tiny bit. Let me get this attached. Well, that's on there. There's a tiny bit of glue that's peeping out from the bottom on that edge, but I think That's going to give it a more grimy, organic kind of realistic look. And next, you're going to take this piece and I need to put it into the middle. You can see the 3 holes on both parts. It's just a case of matching those. And luckily, no more gluing here, because this is being screwed in down the bottom there by 2 8mm thick screws. So that's not going anywhere. And as a special bonus, makes a nice tinging sound just in time for Christmas. Yes. Anyway, it looks like I'm starting to build a satellite or part of a rocket booster. But anyway, that is 25 with your one spare. Okay, I may have had to make a really bad edit just then, so if I did, I'm sorry about that. But I forgot one last piece, which is this last piece of plastic piping, which is going in that hole there on the circle bit. Don't know quite what that is yet. And you can only put it in one way because, sorry, not that end. This end has got a little notch cut in it, as you can see. And they've even got a little raised bit. You can just see that in the hole there. So that you can't go wrong, which I always like. So let me glue this in. Well, all I can say is, I hope you don't need to put anything on to the end of there, because this is not the most secure piece. Going to let the glue dry for a nice long time now, so hopefully it will stay solid, because it was flopping about a little bit. Anyway, hopefully the glue's going to set that down. And that is the end of part 25, along with this little bit that we're going to need apparently in the very next part. Okay, we've arrived at 26, and the first thing you have to do is quite bizarre. I'm not sure why they're asking us to do this yet, but you have to release the, I think, one side of this part at the top of the arm. Okay, what I have to do is take one of these black discs, glue around the little pins, and fit one of them into there, and the other one into there. Isn't it comforting when they tell you in the last few parts, oh yes, screw that down nice and tight, you've probably half threaded the screws, but then they go and tell you, oh no, take it out again actually. Ah, Hachette, what are you trying to do to me? Okay, the next stage is to put this tiny little cylinder that you probably can't even see, only just, into that hole there. And it doesn't stay there, so it says you may wish to do that in step 10, which I am going to do. So, find a little home for my tiny cylinder where it won't roll off. It's going to go there. Alright, well, this is going to be fun. Now, I've got to fit this bit here into that hole there, coming in underneath it. And then I've got to place these 2 washers on the top of the pin. What makes me think this was not entirely planned from the start? Okay, I'm just going to tell you this now, because it's going to be very fiddly to try and sort out. I've got to put this back in place afterwards, and in theory that will then hold that pin in place with the washers. Let's see how this is going to work out. Here's some fun news, everybody. I've actually lost the connection between this part and this part. That is because the rubber piece on the end of this, which is so brilliantly designed, came off. It's down there somewhere, wedged. I cannot get it out. I can't think how to get it out without tearing it to shreds anyway. So it's basically stuck in there now. But with any luck, I may just be able to get away with it, because once this piece is on, it doesn't really ever stretch far enough to come out again. So fingers crossed for me that this is okay. That being said, have to put the little cylinder in there now, in that hole, and then pop that bit over there, and then screw it in with a 10mm screw, and hope it works, because if not, I'm probably going to have a breakdown. It's been a long night. Okay, it's 6:10 in the morning, and we're still going. I'm hoping that once I've got the central piece in for the elbow, once I've got that secured, that this bit doesn't come out again, because if it does, I'm basically stuffed for posing my Terminator arm straight. I'll have to always keep it slightly bent, because otherwise this piece will just fall out, unless I can think of a way, or unless anyone has any ideas as to how to get the rubber piece out from down the end of there. Not good. Anyway, we must plough on. I'm taking the big, thick Allen screw, they call it, and plonking it down the middle of this side with a washer on the end of it. A washer which I had to hunt around for a long time. Eventually found it. And the other side, you're putting through the metal bit. I should point out that it's called an Allen screw because you'll need an Allen key to screw it in. At least, that's where I'm assuming they get the name from. Okay, the last little bit to finish that off is to glue the pegs of this plastic circle there. A plastic circle which is going straight into metal. Once again, those two ill-matching materials, and you're plonking it down in the middle there. So let's see how that looks when it's on. And we're done. It's looking good in there. Now, unless I'm very much mistaken, this bit is not articulated after all. And that is extremely good news for me, because I will now never lose one of these connections. So let me know if I'm wrong, but as far as I can tell, it just twists that way. And this elbow does not adjust, in spite of the fact that it really looked as if these were needing to twist that way, because they're on discs that seem to rotate. Am I wrong? I hope I'm not wrong, because if I'm not, I'm extremely happy about that. So this bit does rotate nicely, and that's it. Look at the size of that. It's a half-size Terminator, so they say. It's been a very long night. I hope you've enjoyed my struggles. I've not enjoyed my struggles, if I'm honest, but we've made some exciting pieces tonight. Of course, the arm, and this bit as well, which is extremely chunky and extremely heavy, but it looks very cool. So, thank you very much for watching. Going to recover now, maybe make another video, maybe go out to Tesco. But whatever I do, hope you're all well, and see you next time.